nous vous présentons ici le point de vue américain, le meilleur du point de vue américain, sur l'Afrique. Et c'est très important et même essentiel pour nous, car ce point de vue américain correspond au meilleur du point de vue français. C'est l'idée d'un développement mutuel des peuples. Malheureusement, nous autres Français, comme les Américains depuis 1945, avons adopté le point de vue anglo-hollandais, qui est le point de vue de l'exploitation coloniale et impériale des peuples. Aujourd'hui, il faut en changer des deux côtés de l'Atlantique, aux États-Unis comme en France. Pour rétablir l'idée du développement mutuel entre les peuples, l'idée d'un effort d'équipement de l'homme et de la nature à long terme, ce qui vous sera montré dans les images qui vont suivre, et puis d'arrêter le pillage colonial de l'Afrique et d'y encourager le développement des cultures vivrières et des industries naissantes. Le général de Gaulle, dans son discours de Brazzaville, du 30 janvier 1944, avait tracé cette perspective d'aider les peuples africains à les conduire vers leur indépendance. Le thème avait été repris par Pierre Mendès France et Gaston Defferre, plus tard, Aimé Césaire et d'autres, et puis surtout par Cheikh Anta Diop dans sa conception historique fidèle à celle de Toussaint Louverture. C'est à cela qu'il faut revenir. Alors, évidemment, nous avons nous-mêmes, depuis 1945, commis de terribles erreurs, et je dirais des erreurs criminelles. La première a été de ne pas faire la paix avec Ho Chi Minh en Indochine, ce que Leclerc était parvenu à faire, et Leclerc a été écarté par Thierry d'Argentlieu, qui avait été envoyé par De Gaulle, et qui a commis la terrible erreur d'adopter le point de vue colonial et impérial, qui a conduit aux guerres d'Indochine qui ont suivi. Et la France, notre pays, a été en guerre, dans des guerres coloniales, entre 1945 et 1962. Nous en sommes sortis qu'en 1962, avec de terribles erreurs commises au Cameroun, à Madagascar, en Algérie, en Tunisie, au Maroc. Alors aujourd'hui, nous devons avoir une autre politique. Et cette politique est celle du nouveau Bretton Woods. Cette politique est une politique de développement des pays africains à qui nous devons donner tous les moyens de s'équiper et de se développer. Ce que ces images, d'un point de vue américain, mais aussi de notre point de vue français, vous montreront bientôt, quand vous allez les voir. Et c'est, pour nous autres Français, le projet du lac Tchad, avec d'autres pays, y compris avec les États-Unis. Nous devons créer ce poumon d'eau au centre de l'Afrique qui permettra à 100 millions d'êtres humains et à 200 à 300 millions qui les entourent de bénéficier des conditions de vie nécessaires pour leur développement. Déjà, des gens comme Duponchel, comme Rander avaient pensé à ces choses-là à la fin du XIXe siècle. Et depuis, nous avons pris un terrible retard. Eh bien, nous devons nous battre pour que ce retard soit rattrapé. Nous devons nous battre pour que l'Afrique retrouve une perspective de développement dans un développement de l'ensemble de l'économie mondiale. Le nouveau Bretton Woods que nous défendons, eh bien, il devra faire ses preuves en Afrique, et c'est l'Afrique qui sera la preuve que c'est quelque chose de positif qui permet un futur de l'humanité, ou non. L'Afrique comme pierre de touche de notre avenir.
The British are perpetrating genocide in Africa, they and their accomplices. Get them out of Africa. Give Africa back to the Africans. Repeal decisions made by the United States in the middle of the 1970s. Restore Africa to its right as a collection of sovereign states, which means we must assist them in developing the infrastructure which is needed to take a population in Africa which is largely unskilled in a modern sense, and to utilize infrastructure and other features to increase the productive powers of labor effectively per capita per square kilometer. Africa has a great agricultural potential, but disease and other factors destroy that. The lack of infrastructure means that the utilization of improvements needed to realize that. Africa has large resources or natural resources. Enable Africa to use its territory, its agricultural potential, and its related resources to become a positive factor in world economy. The world needs it.
This fact was understood by President Franklin Roosevelt. In the midst of the Second World War, Roosevelt turned his thoughts towards a better future, a new era of post-colonialism to replace what he called the 18th century methods of the British Empire. Roosevelt's son Eliot, in the book As He Saw It, related his father's plans during a trip to Casablanca in January 1943.
We discussed the Great Salt Flats in southern Tunisia, which must have at one time been a vast inland sea. He reminded us of the rivers that sprung up in the Atlas Mountains to the south and disappear under the Sahara to become subterranean rivers.
Why not take these waters and divert this water flow for irrigation? It'd make the Imperial Valley in California look like a cabbage patch. And the salt flats, they were once below the level of the Mediterranean. You could dig a canal straight back to recreate that lake 150 miles long, 60 miles wide. The Sahara would bloom for hundreds of miles.
It is true. The Sahara is not just sand. It has an amazingly rich potential. Every time there is a rain, there is a consequent riot of flowers for a few days before the dryness and the sun kill them off.
Wealth!
He cried.
Imperialists don't realize what wealth is, what wealth they can create. They've robbed these continents of billions, and all because they were too short-sighted to understand that their billions were pennies compared to the possibilities. Possibilities that must include a better life for the people who inhabit this land.
By the time Roosevelt had spoken these words, Africa had already been subjected to hundreds of years of colonial oppression aimed at extracting raw materials while stifling internal improvements. Railroads were built straight from foreign-owned mines to the coast for export, and even the gauge of the tracks between countries were made incompatible. Erasing this colonial legacy begins with fully integrating the continent with high-speed and magnetically levitated rail. From Cairo in the north to Cape Town in the south, and Dakar in the west to Djibouti in the east. These transportation routes would serve as the backbone of new corridors of development, including gas pipelines, telecommunications, and new industrial city centers powered by fourth-generation high-temperature nuclear reactors.
Rail system or maglev system into Africa. We're going to create, as a gift from the other nations of the world, we're going to give them as a gift a railway or maglev system, which is the basic system, which means that in these countries they have the basic means to transport goods from one place to the other. That and also power systems and so forth delivered to them will enable them to do the rest. And that's the point.
Rather than resorting to unskilled labor to build what environmentalists call appropriate technologies, we can upgrade the skill and productivity of the labor force through high technology investments. Large-scale infrastructure itself raises the productivity of the individual worker or farmer simply by transforming the environment he operates in. As in the case of the Transcontinental Railroad in the USA, the development of inland areas represents a historic shift away from the legacy of maritime control by the British Empire, as well as human mastery over the biosphere. Combined with mass transportation and power development, large-scale water management can make the deserts bloom. The Congo River is second only to the Amazon in terms of volume. Canals could divert water drawn off from the Congo and channel it northward to refresh and expand the dry Lake Chad basin, opening up vast new stretches of land for cultivation. Nuclear desalination means an almost limitless supply of fresh water from the oceans, water that can transform the arid landscapes of the Sahel region and the Sahara above it into garden spots through massive irrigation. Greening the deserts could turn some of the most underpopulated areas of the planet into thriving agro-industrial centers. The rich soils of the Sudan alone could feed the continent.
The way you develop a people is not by coming in and telling them how to do everything. You give them the things which will enable them to do something for themselves, and you help them do it.
Given the past century's discovery of nuclear and space science, and the coming breakthroughs in fusion energy, it is long past time to realize that the only limits to growth for the human species come from self-imposed limits on the imagination. Along with the advance of science has come the proof that mankind survives only by changing nature, by unlocking the potentials inherent in nature, potentials which are realized only through creative reason. What potential geniuses, who today are being lost to childhood diseases, starvation, and war, might this African Renaissance give to humanity? What new Mozarts or Einsteins in art and science among the children of today await only the chance to unleash their inherent human creativity? More than mere material wealth, this is the true notion of wealth embodied in Roosevelt's vision for the post-war world.